Andreula here, and we're talking about risk, we're talking about reward, and your future. So there's millions and millions of books on this. There's millions of authors publishing about this, and there's no way to ever be completely done with it. You're constantly going to feel this natural fear of risk, the unknown, and it's something that you're going to have to deal with as a human. And this is probably going on, built into our DNA, that we fear the unknown. So we like certainty, but certainty is also boring in this modern age. So this modern age provides us with more certainty than we've ever had, as far as at least in Americans. So we need to really fight to take risks, where maybe if it was a natural situation, we would have to take risks, so the thinking would be taken out, and then you would be free to make that choice and just go with it. Because listen, if you pick the wrong, you're at a fork in the road. You either go one way or the other, and that's what you're going to do, and you're going to deal with it the best way you can. Well, I'm adopting that philosophy for life, and I'm recommending you adopt that philosophy for life. There's many situations in my life that, it could be extremely painful, devastating if things collapsed, if everything went wrong. But I have to be 1,000% prepared for that, and I am. And at this point in my life, I've never been so prepared for it. I feel like I have just undeniable power and confidence in myself, that I know that when my back's up against the wall, whether it is financially, business, relationships, I make things happen. I come through. I always bet on myself. I might not be great at other things, but I am great in believing myself when the chips are on the table. So how can you do that? Well, first thing you're going to do is start identifying what you actually want in your life. That's critical. If you don't identify what you want in your life, and I'm not saying a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, they're fantastic, but nobody actually is able to stick to that. And I wouldn't say, I want to be happy, because that's not really a description. You're not going to be perpetually happy. If you were, you would be a dog. So humans have ups and downs, and that's why life is beautiful and horrible at the same time. So with that being said, what can we do? First thing we can do is outline, what do you want to do in the next 6 months? What do you want to do in the next year? That's how I look at it. Especially most of my audience is younger. They're listening to this, and maybe you're in a car, maybe you're at work. You don't have to always take risk, and I understand there's people out there just saying, take risk, go do what you're going to do, just do it, all that. And you have to be pragmatic at some point, depending on your skills and what situation you want to have in life. So if you want to, opening a business is a great example. People open a business, but you got to also think about the way that business is going to affect your life. So if you open a liquor store, you might make a lot of money, but you might hate it. And you might not care, but you might hate it, you might love it, I don't know. It all depends on what's good for you. And you don't have to be completely satisfied at work. You can be satisfied at home doing other projects, adding to life, adding to people's lives. That's probably going to help you. It might be a religious thing. It might be a philosophy thing. Maybe you like poetry. Maybe you just like writing. Maybe you like romance novels. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you're passionate with, you'll be able to motivate yourself and develop yourself. So back to the key point, which is risk. Risk is inevitable, especially if you're doing things unconventionally, which tends to leave you in a better position. Okay, there's a great book. It's called Anti-Fragile by Nassim Taleb. Nassim Taleb he's a professor at NYU, and he's famous for predicting the financial crisis before it happened, which very few people did. And I believe he made a lot of money because he was a trader at that point. But what he really did was he looked at finance the way it should be looked at, which is human nature. Human nature can't be teased out of that. Statistics don't matter. People react to events in panic. Okay, I mean, that's what they do. So to say that I have a statistical model that's going to predict how people are going to behave, no, you don't know how people are going to behave when something humongous happens. When a big outlier event happens, like the financial crisis, then people panic, they pull their money out of the market, and it goes into a spiral. So you want to not be in a position where all of your eggs are in one basket and you can possibly get damaged from that. So he wrote a book called Anti-Fragile, and it's basically it's a philosophy on everything. I mean, all philosophies, all books, there's not really a lot of original thought out there. There's evolution of thought. Original thought, everybody's been sitting around thinking for quite some time now, so you can only add on to it. Original thought is something that is nearly impossible because you're being influenced by so many people, especially with the internet. So you are evolving thought. You're taking thought to another level, another key. You have Anti-Fragile as a philosophy. So Anti-Fragile would be, say you're an astronaut, okay? And I'm picking this up from various people. So what's fascinating about astronauts is when they go into the space station, they have certain protocols and training regimens that they have to maintain because they lose so much muscle mass. They lose bone density. They might lose 10% of their bone density, even though they're doing continuous workout up there with weights and trying to add resistance. The problem is in space you have no resistance. This is why they say aliens would actually resemble humans if we lived in space long enough. Our heads would get big, our arms would get tiny, our legs would get tiny, because there's no more need for muscles when you have zero gravity. There's no resistance. Why is that interesting? It's interesting because their bone density goes down, their muscle mass goes down because there's no resistance. A lot of trainers, most of the trainers out there, us for a long time, we're looking for things with no resistance. An elliptical machine, okay, it has less resistance. There's a time and place for all of those. Physical therapy is usually the time and place for no resistance. You need resistance. You need small stressors. You don't need major stressors that are going to catastrophically damage your body. So getting hit by a car isn't going to build you up, but running on pavement a little bit a day builds up the muscles, it builds up the joints, your body adapts to it. That's how your body works. Your body, you work out, it receives information on how you're needing to prepare for the future, and then it adjusts accordingly. So you can implement this onto your life. That's why it's important to look at it both ways. So when the astronauts get back, guess what? They work them out, they put the bone density back on, they put the muscle mass back on. What does that mean? That you too can bring your bone density and muscle mass back. You just need to add the resistance. Taking away the resistance makes you soft and unable to flex. And this is true in life. This is true in working out. So you need to work yourself out. You need to work your life out like you're working out. Risk is inevitable. Fear is inevitable. Okay? But when you go for it, when you risk and you fail, you still win. If you don't risk and then you failed, that's as simple as it gets. When you're risking everything and you fail, more than likely you'll succeed. But if you fail and you're okay with that, then you're in a beautiful place, which I currently am in this fantastic place. I don't care if I went homeless and starved for the next month. I wouldn't be stopped, and I would crawl back and take every single person out that stood in my way beforehand. Now, I still think you should use opportunities. You should build. You should build on what you have already. You should look at what assets you have, what people are going to help you, and what people are the most productive that are going to help you. Because a lot of people their friends in general they're yes men, yes women, which is good in a friend. You want a friend that has unlimited support for you, but guess what? They are going to not give you good advice because they don't want to offend you. They don't want to get on your bad side. So this is not a friend, in my opinion. This is somebody you should go to when you want to just hear yes, because they're not going to give you great advice. A real friend, in my opinion, will tell you how it is when you need to know, and will support you when they think you're going to break. And this is something I do as a friend myself. So even though I'm not talking to people every single day, my friends know that I can give them sound advice based on their situation as far as what I would do, unbiased. And I should be proud of that, because a lot of people have not gotten to that point. So I'm only doing this to help you. And I'm not saying that I know everything. I certainly don't know everything, but I'm learning every single day and pushing it. And This is my job. This is my passion, guys. I'm not going to stop. I can't stop. There's a lot of people who want me to stop. A lot of people that want to crush me out there. I go on my YouTube page. Look at the million haters I got there, and a million lovers, and they're both the same. The haters turn into lovers. Lovers turn into haters too easily. So you got to risk. I'm risking. If I fail, I'll let you know. If I succeed, I'll let you know. If I fail, I'll tell you what I learned. If I succeed, I'll tell you what I learned.